Hi everyone, I'm Nadia, and in today's video, my mom is going to be testing out how effects in your resin can vary depending on the viscosity of resin you're using. In today's video, she's using Artline resin, and she has a low viscosity, a medium viscosity, and a high viscosity resin. She's setting up everything nicely. She has 3 silicone molds for 3 different types of resin. And here's a quick little unboxing. This will also vary depending on the brand of resin that you're using, because brands tend to differ a lot from one another, and one brand's low viscosity resin can be completely different from another brand's low viscosity resin. It comes with a little instruction manual, and it's a 2-to-1 ratio by weight, so to measure properly you will need a small kitchen scale. She's starting off with the low viscosity resin, and for this one mold she'll be using 75 milliliters of resin, and because it's a 2-to-1 ratio by weight, she poured 50 milliliters of the A and 25 of the B. She stirs the two together well for several minutes. Then she separates it into smaller cups to add in her pigments. I'll also have this resin linked in my description if you want to give them a try. She'll be starting off with Liquitex's acrylic ink in the shade Burnt Umber. And make sure to shake your acrylic inks or alcohol inks before you apply some into your cup of resin. In her next cup, she's using Liquitex's acrylic ink in Thylacine Blue. And I'll have all of these products linked in my description. In her third cup, she's adding in a mica powder in the shade Sea Blue. Her fourth cup is Casting Crafts white pigment. And she also adds in a little bit of Just Resin's pigment paste in the shade Titanium White. Now she's ready to start pouring, and she starts off with her Burnt Umber pigmented resin around the edges of the mold. She'll be doing a puddle pour, so next she takes her Thylacine pigmented resin and pours it directly into the center of the mold, followed by her Sea Blue pigmented resin. Then pours her white pigmented resin. And lastly, she pours the clear resin. For her center detail, she'll be using some gold tinted glass pieces. She pours some into the cup where she had her Burnt Umber pigmented resin, then using a wooden stick, she carefully applies it into the center. Now she'll be doing the same with the medium viscosity. She'll be following all the same steps and using all of the same pigments and the same amount of pigments. So I'm going to speed through this part a little bit just so I don't bore you guys too much. She's ready to pour, and she follows the same pouring pattern and technique. And lastly, she's ready to test out the high viscosity resin. Anytime you're working with resin, you always want to be sure that you have all of the proper safety equipment. This would include nitrile gloves, a respirator mask, and a well-ventilated area. Different viscosity resins allow for different levels of movement within the silicone molds, and because of this plays a big impact on the movement of your different pigmented resins, and therefore can cause different effects. Sometimes medium viscosity resins can be closer to a low viscosity resin or to a high viscosity resin, and it goes without saying that a low viscosity resin will vary the most from a high viscosity resin. She uses a torch gun to pop any air bubbles, and whenever you're using a torch gun, you always want to be very careful to move it quickly so that you don't burn your resin or your molds. This is what they're looking like from the top, and they're actually looking very similar, so let's see what they look like on the bottom side. She allows this to harden and comes back the next day to demold. She starts by demolding the coaster made with the low viscosity resin. It looks like here the blue is dominant, so the blue pigmented resin was able to sink down onto the bottom of the mold, where the burnt umber pigmented resin lies more at the top of the mold. Let's see the coaster with the medium viscosity resin. Here we have more of the burnt umber pigmented resin mixed with the white pigmented resin visible around the edges. Now let's see the coaster with the high viscosity resin. It's looking very similar to the medium viscosity resin coaster. So in this case with Artline, as we can see, the medium and the high viscosity resin gave similar results for this technique. Again, keep in mind that this can vary from brand to brand. And here's the final product. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, subscribe to see more videos like this in the future. Follow me on my Instagram, Summer Girl Designs, and my mom's Instagram, Wild Heart Resin Art.